Export maritime shipments. This time, we're going to learn how we can create an export maritime shipment. We can create shipments from a quote, as we've already seen in previous courses. We can create a quote and then turn it into a shipment. For example, I can go to the quotes module, select quotes, and create a new quote. In this case, to save time, I'm going to show an export quote that has already been created. We're just going to check the main fields. We'll specify the type of service, whether it's door-to-door, port-to-port, port-to-door, the type of transport mode. In this case, it's BICEL, the type of operation, which is an ocean output, the quote dates, the validity, the transit days, the name of our client, who our carrier is, the Incoterm we're going to choose for our operation, who the shipper is, who the consignee is, what the origin is, what the destination is, the approximate scheduled date of your departure, and the approximate scheduled date of your final arrival. If this is a full door-to-door shipping operation, we can specifically include the details of the exact location where the cargo will be picked up and the exact location where it will be delivered. In a similar fashion, we'll also be able to specify and include the exact type of shipping container that we are planning to utilize for this particular shipment. And we'll be able to add the charges. Once our quote is thoroughly and properly completed in its entirety, we can then validate it with each and every one of our various available formats. And once it has been fully validated and we are absolutely certain and confident it has the correct information, we can check and confirm that our quote is completely perfect and ready to be sent out to the client. Once the client approves the quote, we can turn our quote into an export ocean shipment by selecting the Great Cheapment option. We'll select ocean and we'll choose direct in the case of a direct shipment. If it were a consolidated house shipment, then we would select house. In this case, we're going to choose direct. And if it's an import, or in this case, it's an export, we simply confirm and click OK. And this quote will be converted into an export ocean shipment. Great. This is one way we can create an export ocean shipment. I'm not creating it anymore. Or of. The reference number is 0000242, which specifically means it is an autonomous direct ocean operation. Very well. Now we have our shipment successfully created and we can carefully validate all of its information. You can see that all the specific information from the initial quote has been fully transferred and we can clearly see it right here. All that detailed information we had previously has been downloaded into our ocean export file, which is a door-to-port type ocean outbound shipment. We can also verify the reference number, the assigned sales representative, and exactly who the carrier is for this task. The origin, as we already saw in the quote, the destination, the type of commodity, which was a 40-foot container, and then the system will process all of the associated charges accordingly. In this specific type of logistics operation, the operator will be able to manually enter the carrier details or the booking information initially by simply adding the unique booking number into the field so that we can successfully complete all of the required information for the record. Usually, the booking number is often used with carriers. It is also often assigned as the waybill number. Here we have the master BL. And the system gives us the opportunity to enter information related to the vessel. In this case, what's the name of the vessel? What is the vessel's flag? And what is the voyage? The voyage number? We simply select it and the system will bring up the information for us. We can continue by entering the origin, where the vessel will be loaded, and where it will be unloaded. If this is a door to port shipment, we can add the information about where we are going to pick up the goods. In this case, my client might be named Juan Carlos, and the system will pull the information from the database for us. This is the place where we are going to pick up. In Mexico, it's Juan Carlos Martinez, and we can enter the date and time when we are going to pick up. We will also have the place where the truck is going to deliver the goods, maybe at the port of Miami, as we're seeing here. The date when the goods will arrive at the port and the name of the carrier. We'll enter Transportes Miami. We have the information on where the goods are picked up, where they're loaded, and where they're unloaded. If this service were a door-to-door type service, we could enter that information for the place of delivery and the final destination. All right? Here, Raphael, we're going to enter the name of a consignee so the system can fill in the rest of the information. Let's say this is in Mexico. And the system simply completes the information. We've now completed the first phase. The second phase of information is the cutoffs, where we can enter the deadlines for submitting documentation, loading the cargo, and getting the goods onto the ship. We can fill in all these dates, 6, 7, 8, or even 9 as needed with their corresponding times. Likewise, the system gives us the option, if we want, to enter the maximum capacity in pieces, weight, or volume. If it's not required, these fields can be left blank. Regarding the entities, the system will ask me to confirm if the shipper is Juan Carlos and the consignee is Rafael Chavez. We have this section where the system is also asking us to confirm who our client is, who we are going to invoice. In this case, we are going to invoice our shipper, who is Juan Carlos. All I'm going to do is say we're going to charge him. We're billing our shipment to Juan Carlos. At the bottom, we can enter the name of the origin agent, in this case, Stop Connect, and the destination agent who will receive the goods in Chile. In this case, we'll say the agent's name is Jorge Garcia. All right, so now we have the information on who is going to pay us. Who is the shipper? Who is the consignee? Who is the origin agent? And who is the destination agent? All right, we have this information. A notification will also be sent here. Let's say we're going to notify Juan Carlos. And if we had an intermediary consignee, we could enter them here. In this case, we'll leave it blank because it's not necessary. Next, we're going to fill in the information of additional information. This is information that goes directly on the BL. That is, when I generate my BL, I'll show an example. These are 3 fields that correspond to a BL type document, and they are fields that in many cases clients require to be filled out. Very good. All right, so what we have successfully done here was save all of those changes, and now we can finally view our specific BL type document, which you will see is now fully updated with every bit of the information that we have been carefully adding to our form throughout this process. Right now, we're checking that we have the additional information field where we'll be able to enter the information for export references, the domestic route, and comments. Any information I enter here, for example, let's copy this information and paste it here. Let's enter this information and put it over here. All of this that I've entered are the fields, for example, export reference. We don't have anything. The moment I save my changes, this information will now be reflected in this field. Let's refresh. And let's see how the export reference information has now been entered here as domestic routing. We can continue. We've already completed all the main information, the dates and capacities and the entities, additional information, and we have this field, which is a notes field. These notes are specifically for invoices. We're going to write here notes for invoice. Very well. When I generate my invoice, everything that's written here will appear in the notes field of the invoice. We'll also have a field called proof of delivery. This field will be useful for when we've delivered the goods, so we can have evidence of when we delivered, at what time, who received the goods from us, and what their comments and notes from our client are, right? Let's leave them blank because we're going to continue with the next module. We've now finished filling in or completing all the detail fields. Let's continue with commodities. Remember that at the quotation stage, we had already added the type of commodity, which was a 40-foot container. Since it was just a quotation, we still didn't have the information regarding the container number or the seals. In this case, we already have it. Now we can enter the container number. If we have a tracking number, we can enter it. If a seal is used, we can enter its seal number. If there are two, then bud. If we need the chassis number, all of these are fields we can add. They're not required if we don't have them. And we can enter the total number of pieces. I don't know. How much they weigh. 23,000, and it has a volume of 13. It could be cubic meters, it could be cubic feet, it could be inches, it could be centimeters. All of this is already set up in your system. We just need to click add. And that means in my 40-foot standard container, we're going to carry 23,400 laptop type devices. I just save it, and now I have the information about our commodity. Let's close the files I had open. Well, I'll leave this one open, but the quote file we're going to close. All right, let's continue. And once we've added the commodities, we'll be able to see them. We have a symbol that will let us display the contents of our container. We have a next option called Load a TANF, and this will allow us to see a summary of all the goods we have inside the commodity module. In this case,